All right. I think we are ready for the show tonight. Let's get to it, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the studio. So it's getting into fall now. Thoughts are turning from summer things into fall things. I don't know why a farm kind of makes me think of fall. This isn't necessarily such a fall picture, but farms do make me think a bit more of fall. So I wanted to paint a barn. Plus, I love barns. I wanted to paint a barn. I found this image. I'm going to put it up right there. Actually, maybe I can hang on one second. No, that's it. Okay, I was going to try to move it over a little bit. That's what we have got. So this is the image that I'm going to paint. I'm painting it on bee paper here. This is 140-pound bee paper I bought in a giant roll, which is why I have it all taped down. If I don't, it's going to curl in on itself. Still had it sitting over here in my studio for quite a while, and it just hasn't settled down. Come on. Paints I'm going to be using are, of course, the paints I've been using for forever. These are my M. Graham. Oh, man, I just got it all over my finger. These are my M. Graham paints. Let's see. I think I've got... If I can do it, here we go. Set those down. There's the paint cam. Let's get this out of the way. Let's get the mouse out of the way. The only other thing before we get started. Hey, Ralvin, how you doing? So I'm going to be using these. All of these. These are the Art Secret or the Dana quill mop brushes. Oh my lord, my brain isn't working all of a sudden. These ones are faux squirrel and horsehair, something like that. I don't know what they are, but I do like these. And then when I need to with a little bit more detail, if I need to with a little bit more detail, I'm going to be using my silver black velvet brushes. And with that, I am going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to grab just a medium-sized brush here. This one happens to be a number 4. And I'm going to grab some, what am I going to use for my sky here today? Some cerulean blue for my sky. I'm going to flip this upside down. Hey, fun stuff. How are you doing? Good to see you again. I'm just going to start laying in some of this cerulean here. And if I get over the top of this roof line just a little bit, I'm not going to worry about it, but I am trying not to for obvious reasons. And then I'm just going to go really quickly on the rest of this. And I think I've talked about my theory of skies before. If my subject area and everything down here is relatively small or relatively undetailed, then I'm going to do a bit more with my sky to make it stand out a bit more. But in this one, I've got so much. The barn is the major feature here. It's a quarter of the page maybe. I've got the cows in the front. I'm hoping to, in this amount of space, maybe I should walk through this. As soon as I'm done with the sky, I'll walk through this a little bit. I'm hoping to make the bottom of this look like there's quite a different distance between this cow and this cow. We'll see how it goes. But I think there's going to be enough going on in the foreground of this that I don't really want the sky to be any kind of a distraction for this. So I'm not doing any kind of a detailed sky. I am going to darken it at the top up here quite a bit more. And then I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to let this just run down with the paint still being just a bit wet. Oh yeah, the magic art secret brush. I'm telling you what. There we go. I'm gonna leave it kind of like, well, maybe I'm not gonna leave it kind of like that. I'm gonna pull this down just a little bit. I didn't know what to expect from these art secret brushes. Had no real hope that they were going to be good at all. And man, was I ever proven wrong. I'm not saying they're for everybody. And if I were to do these, I would do these a little different. The plastic handle does drive me nuts a bit. You can hear it. It just sounds a little, I don't know, funky. But the bristles on here are really nice. I really do like those. Okay. Hey, Cynthia. Nice to see you. Good to see we have some interesting painting going on tonight. Well, thank you. I hope it's interesting every time. Okay, so let me bring my picture out here, and I'll tell you what I wanted to do while I'm waiting for that sky to dry. Let me just push this up kind of almost out of the way so I can show you here and not have to pay attention to the picture up there. So I had this picture, and it's kind of, the picture's kind of, the barn is kind of in the middle. I see a lot of sky up here, and I was thinking about how I wanted to do this. And so when I drew mine, I didn't necessarily draw it any higher on my page. I drew it relatively the same towards the sky, but I've extended the bottom down here quite a bit. And I want to show that this is a huge field, you know, well, not huge maybe, but a big field in between our barn, which is here, and this front cow. And in order to do that, I needed to either make all of these cows bigger or just put a different cow here. And so I don't think I needed 3 or 5 or some odd number of cows. I just thought I needed a bigger cow. So I put this here, and I'm hoping that by the time you see this cow is this big and this one is half the size, and that the cow should only come up to here, maybe on that barn door, that we're going to get some nice, and we'll paint down here in kind of a horizontal fashion, which should make it stack up and look like it's going backwards in here. So we should be able to make it look like there's a big distance between where this cow is, where that cow is, and where the barn is back here. Okay, so I think I've rambled on enough about that maybe my paper, well, it's not quite dry. Okay, but it's getting dry. Now I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to grab the number 1 quill brush. Here it is. I've got 2 cameras and a picture up, where's it at? Up here. And I still feel like I need another camera. I've got all of my brushes right here. And I always feel like I should be showing you guys which brushes I'm picking up and why. Oh, I should say, the thing I do, I pull these out and they're upside down. Well, this one I just picked up and set up. It's totally dry. But I put them down this way. My tabletop is slanted so that if there's any moisture, it doesn't sit in here on, well, this one is plastic, but on top of the handle. Hopefully it's going to drain down and wick down into this bit of paper. I don't know anybody else who does that. I don't know if that's a real valid thing, but it always makes me feel a little better if I do that. All right, I'm going to mix up a little bit of, let's see. Oh, Ralvin says, what brand of paper am I using? This is a B paper that I bought in a roll that was, let's see, the roll was 36 inches by 5 yards long, which is big, which is a lot of paper. And then I took it and had it cut down, or actually I cut it down myself. I took it to a place that had a paper cutter, and I cut it down into a number of different sizes. I did these, which are 12 by 12, that I have a whole bunch of, and I did a number of them that are 9 by 12. And my thought was, well, I'm going to burn through all of this paper anyways. I already do. It would be nice if, I wasn't paying quite as much. I'll just get these. It'll be a little bit cheaper for me to buy the paper in more bulk and cut it down myself. And the moral of the story is, I'm not sure. I'm sure it worked. I'm sure I got cheaper paper per the amount of paper that I got. I'm not sure if it's worth the hassle of getting it and cutting it and trying to figure out what sizes it should be. That's what I should have done. Was I should have taken a few pictures or a quick video of me trying to cut that paper down. That was terrible, because the paper just has such a curve to it. I mean, I have a little bit of the end here. But this is a little bit of the end. I cut this 3 months ago. This little bit, it's been folded in half for this whole time, and it still has a giant bend in it. It's had stuff sitting on it for a while. It does not want to let go of that shape, no matter what I do to it. But it's bee paper, 140 pound. The bee paper is 100% cotton paper. And I like the paper provided you don't get it too wet. If you leave it a little bit dry, then you're okay. The minute you get it too wet, it's gonna bite you. It doesn't like being too wet. Cynthia says, is it helpful to hear your thinking about perspective? Or I'm sorry, it is helpful to hear my thinking of perspective. I'm happy to tell you my thoughts on perspective. I don't know that mine are all that great, and I don't do too many paintings where I have to use an extreme perspective to get anything, but I'm happy to tell you whatever I can about perspective. Now, this painting, let's see, I've got some, I wish we could see your sketch. You wish you could see me sketch it first. You're having trouble sketching stuff onto paper. Here are my views on that, or here is my view on that, maybe I should say, Cynthia. It is this. If you have to sketch it onto paper, who cares? I have sketched a lot in the past on my own. I have traced. I have paper I could show you where I have taken a pencil and scribbled all over the backside of the page, taped it to a piece of watercolor paper, and traced it down there to get a little bit of color of something. My opinion about that is, and this is just mine, it's who cares. I'm trying to be a painter, not a drawer, and so if I have to cheat a little bit, I don't think it's cheating by any stretch, but if I need some aids or helpers to get me drawing a little bit, or help me draw what I think is going to be a little bit better, I'm okay with that. I don't think it's that big of a deal. And if you hang your painting up somewhere and don't tell anybody that you may have had to, oh, I can't go back into that. That is, no, I can go back into that. If you don't tell anybody that you traced a part of it or whatnot, nobody is going to ask you about it. Nobody's going to worry about it. They're going to look at it and they're going to, man, that's a fantastic painting. You did a great job with it. That's all they're going to say. Let's see. Having said that, Cynthia, I will consider doing some sketching live. Sometimes it takes me a while, and my method is to use everything as a relative placement. So if I'm going to draw this, I'm going to draw, and my first line is going to be what everything else is drawn off of. It's the first line is the only thing that matters. So in this drawing, for me, the first line is, I'm going to tell you in just a second. I have to concentrate. Getting into some tight spaces. And if I touch that sky over there, it's not the end of the world. It's not a big deal. Okay, so let me finish this roof, and then I'll finish my answer to you, Cynthia. I know. I turn everything around a lot. I do. You guys probably all have to take Dramamine to watch me. You're all gonna get seasick. There we go. I'm going to leave it like that. Okay, so for me, the first thing I did was I made this arch right in here. Okay, and then I can look at the picture and I know, well, about halfway up this side, I can draw this line. And just after the top of the peak here, I've got to draw a double line up. And I can make those meet here. And then this line has to be an arch this way because I'm looking up to it. Okay, and then I can draw this line over a certain amount. This line has to match, or this angle, this arch has to match this arch. And then I know from down here somewhere, almost to the end, I've got to draw a straight line up. And I know that the roof over here matches at about the third waypoint. Right, a third, and a third on the peak of this arch. So then I can draw up to there and, from there up. And I just build it like that. I draw one bit and try to keep my relation right. And I should say when I draw this up here, maybe I'll draw this line up to this height, up to here, roughly up to here. Because I'm not exactly sure how far up it's going to go, how far I need it before I put this cap on it. And I might sometimes draw this line out a little further or leave it a little shorter because I'm not exactly sure. But in general, that's how I draw everything in relation to the lines next to it. So that's how I draw, right? The cows are a bit tougher because they don't touch anything. There's no point of reference for them. Luckily, cows are basically a rectangle with a triangle-ish, ovalish head. Well, I don't know that helps a whole lot. Okay. Love and Life says, I'm a bit late. Would love to see which watercolors you're using. I am using these watercolors, which are my studio palette I've been using for about a year now. They're all M-gram paints. They're all listed out here. When I use one, I'll tell you what they are. I've used yellow ochre and Payne's gray here, cerulean blue here. This is yellow ochre and sepia, and this is a little bit of Payne's gray, just a touch of yellow ochre, and then a little bit of burnt umber in here for that little bit of rust color. Whew, okay. Let's see. The sky is cerulean. You are correct. Fun stuff. I never realized my perspective is off until I'm completely done, even if I stare at it a long time before I'm painting. I totally get that. That's perspective is you know, you start to go and you paint and you're headed off and you're doing your thing, and before you know it, you're done. And holy cow, what I do that bothers me to no end is I will start painting. I'm gonna go over this whole barn in this red. I know I've got some white windows on here. I'm gonna put those back on afterwards. I'm not gonna be a purist tonight, because the areas that those windows cover is pretty small, and I don't want to spend all my time trying to paint around those. So I'm going to paint over them, and then I am going to come back and put them on either with the white pen or some white watercolor or gouache. So I'm just going right over all of this stuff, and I can go over the windows because they're going to be put in darker. I'm trying to think what I was going to say. I can go over the windows because they're going to be a bit darker. And I think what I was saying before is what I do when I paint, instead of losing my perspective or not paying attention to my perspective so much, is I will totally forget details. I get so wrapped up in the bigger picture of things that I forget there are some smaller details, and whoosh, off they go, off the, you know, and then I'll start to paint. I'll look at it, I'll go, okay, this looks good, I just drew it, everything's great. I'll look back at it, and then I'll go, what was I thinking? This is just totally crazy. I forgot a cow has 4 legs. How does that happen? I do it all the time. And then I've got to scramble to figure out how to get it back. And quite honestly, you know, if somebody's going to stare at your painting for a long time, they'll see if you left off a detail like that, or they'll see that your perspective is off. There's no hiding that. But on first glance, or for most of the time anybody's looking at your stuff, they'll never notice it. It's amazing what our eye will pick up and what it won't pick up. And a lot of the time, it just won't pick up the little details that you think it would. Let's see, this whole barn needs to be red. I love red barns. I had a big red barn behind the house I grew up in. I'm far from a farmer, so don't ask if I farmed. I didn't. I did play in a lot of barns, in more than just my own. But I certainly am no farmer. Although I do have a vegetable garden, which this year I didn't get a whole lot out of because my chickens ate most of everything that was in it. Okay, I see we got a few more things up there. I'm going to just let me finish this. I'm going to try to get this pretty quickly. I'm looking to see. I know I have a foundation on here. And I don't want to paint over my foundation. I don't know if Cynthia, I'm looking at this now. I don't know if I have my perspective quite right back here. Now that I'm looking at it. Now you got me thinking about it. That's okay. I'll put some trees back there, and nobody will ever know that it wasn't supposed to be exactly like I drew. Oh, look, I missed a whole side right here. How did that happen? All right, so I know this looks really one note right now. It looks like it's just a big red blob here, and maybe I could have done this a little faster had I done it with a bigger brush or something like that. But I want to get this on here, and in this instance, I'm not real worried about this little bit of back run here. I've got a little bit over here. I'm not going to worry about it because old barns have creaky, weird boards. They're faded in places. They're not faded in other places. So I'm just not going to worry about that. So while I'm waiting for this to dry, I'm going to answer a couple of other questions here if I can find them. Let's see. I just meant what you said about the barn, the grass, and the cow after the fact. Never mind. I love your attitude. Thank you. Let's see. Turning the paper is a lot easier for me. Turning the paper is a lot easier for me as 9. Let's see. I don't know. I was fun stuff. I was attempting a portrait of a lady the other night. The whole time I'm thinking this is going to be great. When I finished, it was like she get to be a bodybuilder neck. That's that's funny. Yeah, I don't do portraiture very often. Oh man, portraits are hard. They are not easy to do. All right, let's see. I'm going to grab a little bit of, what is this, gamboge here. And I'm going to dip into my favorite phthalo green here. And that's going to give me a nice bright green color. Okay, like a really nice springtime green or something there. And I don't want it quite that bright. I'm going to, over on the side here, I'm going to add a little bit of this olive green. I'm just going to tone it down a little bit. I don't, that's good for me. Lots of people put all kinds of blue in their greens, and I'm okay with that sometimes. Right? If you're looking at something that is blue 50 miles away, man, you're probably right. That blue needs to be in there. But just to dull down a green on something that is, 100 yards away, I don't particularly like doing that. I don't know that you gain a whole lot by doing that. So I'm going to add in a little bit of dark here. And the other thing is, if you live by a lot of farms or buildings in general, I guess, one thing that you realize is that grass always grows better right next to a building. So if that grass is darker right next to that barn, so be it. Maybe it held a little bit more water. Maybe it didn't get so bleached out in the sun. Something like that. It's just going to hang in there just a bit better. And I don't want to keep this green the same color all the way down. Man, that is a bright green. I don't know. This barn obviously is nowhere near where I live. Everything here is gray. What? Not gray. I'm sorry. Did I say gray? Everything here is brown. Well, it's a brown gray. It's so dry. All right. I'm hoping everybody's still there. I haven't looked up to see what's going on. I'm going to assume everybody is still here. Just give me a moment. I'm going to mix maybe a little bit of this cobalt green in there. And as I come down to the front, and this is the funny thing, you know, red makes it stand out a bit more, right? So if we can mix some red into this green, then we can get this to stand out or come forward on our painting. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to use red. I'm going to use orange. And watch this. As we come forward in this painting, I'll mix more of this orange in with our green. I don't necessarily want it that thick up here. If it gets a little thicker, that's okay. I want to try to leave everything a little bit thinner. I should have painted more quickly. Let's see. Come on, Bessie. Let me get in here. Let's see. Her legs are kind of like that. If I don't get her legs exactly, I don't think it's going to matter a whole lot. Let's see. I think cows look something like that. That leg is a little shorter, that one a little longer. She's standing in the grass. I can even get a little bit more of this yellow up here. And I think that's going to do it for our first layer of grass here. Oh, now I got to look up. Okay. What are we talking about here? Let's see. You know, I know your name, Fitzy Craig. I think all people in watercolor are hard. I don't go there. Why? Yeah, I'm with you, Cynthia. People are difficult to paint. The reason is I can paint a barn, and whatever this barn looks like, you know it's a barn. There's no specific ratio of proportion of roof to siding to foundation to anything like that. But if you paint a person, holy cow, you've got to have the head right, the eyes right in the middle, the mouth a quarter of the way up, the nose halfway. You got to have your proportions exactly right. And if you don't, oh man, it gets tough. Let's see, fun stuff. You struggle to make greenery look natural. You know what? I might be struggling too. We're gonna find out here when it's all said and done, but it's all good right now. I'm not too worried about it. Please do Christmas cards like you did a year ago. I did your snowman 3 times and it was a big hit. And you took all the credit for it. Perfect. Take all the credit for it. I'm totally fine with that. I am going to do a few Christmas cards. I think starting next week, I'm going to do specifically fall stuff for 2-3 weeks, like gargoyle, skulls, bats, pumpkins. What else do I have coming up? Leaves, fall leaves, something like that. And then I'm going to move right into Christmas because I found that I need to have my Christmas done by mid-November at the latest in order for everybody to be able to make their own cards and get them out. Let's see, fun stuff. You love the snowman. That's how I learned to paint my first snowman. Wow, that's... you want to know a secret? That's how I learned to paint my first snowman too. That's just... there's a video for the Christmas card. I'm gonna do the Christmas cards. Let's see. The snowman was oh man, it was all kinds of blue colors. I had cerulean, I had turquoise, I had phthalo blue in there. I think I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff in there. I'm going to get to that. But before I get to that, I'm going to mix up. Now, I just talked about green with blue, and I'm going to mix in some green with blue. Let's see. This one, yeah, this one is my ultramarine blue. I've got some trees back here. Come on, ultramarine, come on out there. I want to make a nice... This is where I wish I had a normal green. I don't have what I would call a normal green here. So I'm always futzing with my greens and blues to make something for distant trees. And I think this is going to be fine for me. And let's see, I'm just going to go, I don't know how I'm going to do this. It's a big tree over here, probably a little bigger than I wanted. And I don't want it quite that much saturation. But that's what my tree is going to be like behind this barn. And as you go out towards the outer edge of the tree, you got to leave a little bit more space in there. That's why I give it that little, just let the brush dance around a little bit so that we get that little bit of air in there. And it looks like the tree's growing out, and you can see the end of it out there, or the ends of the branches out there. You know, it looks kind of like some leaves out there. There we go. So I've got a tree on that side, quick as can be, and I'm going to put some on the other side. Let me get a little bit more of this, whatever color I had going on here. Let's just throw a bunch of them in there. And I'm going to try the same thing over here. And I'm just going to kind of let this bounce a little bit. And I'm not even staying in. I don't know why I even bothered to draw these trees in over here. So I'm not going to stay in those lines. I hope I got this right in the middle so everybody can see it. Good. It is. Okay. I need a little bit more color. And we'll do this, and maybe we'll come back and put another layer in front of this, really darken it up. I don't know, that looks pretty good back there. I don't know how it's going to look on this side. Sometimes if you have too much of a tree, it is not just my opinion, if you have too much of a tree area like this, then we lose a little bit. We need a little bit of something there. I don't want to put a great deal of detail here, but maybe something more than just a green blob, which is basically what we're painting here, is called for. There we go. We're obviously on a plain state because it's it's flat. Let's see. Any suggestions of what to mix with Viridian to make it tolerable? That's a good question. I'm going to ask you one question. Fun stuff. Why are you using Viridian? And I ask because I used to use Viridian. And Viridian, just like phthalo green, is a tough color. Only with Viridian, it's not. It doesn't pack the punch that the phthalo green does. Phthalo green is really strong, really aggressive. You can use a little bit and it goes everywhere. Viridian, in addition to being similar, is not as impactful a color. It's not as vibrant. Man, the vibrant's not the right color. It's not as intense of a color, and it gets so hard. Every Viridian, fun stuff. Have you seen this? Your Viridian is probably just, it's a rock, and you've got to really get it wet and get it wet and get it wet and get it wet before you can scrape any color off of it. I don't know why it's that way, but it is. Now, having said that, I would use it the same way I'm using my phthalo green, but I would maybe just, I would use I've used gamboge with it. It'll mix okay with gamboge. I've used a Hansa yellow with it. It'll mix with that. I don't like it quite so much with ultramarine. I don't know why, but I don't. I have it included in my set. I don't use it, but I hate a paint just sitting there being useless. Okay. Yours is okay. So I have never used the Mission Gold paints, so I don't know. But does it get super hard too? I bet it does. It must. It has to. It has to. All of them get really hard. And Aileen, how are you? I'm sorry you didn't get a notice. I just looked up and saw that you were there. I don't know. I sent it out, or I didn't send it out. I set the schedule for this, which was supposed to send out an invite, I don't know, at 9 o'clock this morning, I think. Something like that, Pacific time, 9 o'clock Pacific time. And it should have gone out roughly then. I'm sorry. But Aileen, I do owe you a big thank you for helping to keep me going by contributing to the coffee fund last week. Thank you very, very much appreciated. And having said that, I'm going to dive into this barn. Now, if you caught a picture that I put on Instagram last night, it was a Coke can, very similar things, painting with a red color, and I needed to darken it up. Well, while I was painting last night, I noticed that even though my first layer of paint was what was my first one? Pyrrole red. The Pyrrole red really soaks into this bee paper, and it doesn't stay quite as vibrant. So I had 2 coats of paint on the Coke can that I painted, and it still wasn't dark enough. So I made a mixture of alizarin crimson, permanent alizarin crimson, and maroon perylene, and it gave a wonderful dark shade on the can. And I'm going to use that same trick to put a shadow on this barn. Just like that, and part of this end is in shadow. Seems a little funny to me. I have a cat named Shadow, and to be painting a shadow, or talking about painting a shadow, should be painting a cat. And she's a black cat, so maybe she'll turn up in a Halloween video. She is the nicest little cat, I have to say. And I'm just dropping this on, and with any luck at all, this will start to take a little shape as a barn. What I want to do, I think, is bring it down to about here. Maybe. something like that. And then I'm going to make it, kind of trying to make it a bit more intense up here. It's a little harder for me because my paper, no, doesn't have anything to do with my paper. Because my board is slanted. So it's a little bit harder, but we'll be able to figure it out. And I still am just, you know, we haven't done any real detail on anything yet. And I think it's starting to take shape. It's getting there. Right, and I've got this bit of the barn. I think when I put this bit in here, is that the part that's dark? Yeah, when I put that part in, I think you're going to see a lot of dimension come right to this. Aileen, that's very nice. Thank you. Thank you. I'm happy to bring you guys any painting I can do. I don't feel duty bound to do any of this, but I do feel like I get, so much joy out of watercolor painting. It's something it's totally fun to do, and you can take a white, in a very short amount of time, you can take a white sheet of paper, scribble a drawing on it. You don't even have to scribble a drawing on it, but scribble a drawing on it, and in the matter of moments, create something that really looks fantastic or has a lot of appeal or has some meaning to you. And so because I get so much out of it, I really feel that I should give back to Watercolors for giving me that. And so when I do it, it's because I feel like I should. And I enjoy it. So you are more than welcome. I mean, you can't tell I get excited about watercolors at all, I'm sure. Let's see, what else do we have? So I'm going to have to paint a little bit here, maybe an intensity that's a little less intense than this, and obviously more than that here, and the same here. And then this bit back here, which is offset, is going to have to get a lot darker. But I think we are on our way. And I might put a few stripes in this barn in a few places. I don't want it to be too plain. All right, I'm going to rinse this brush out really well. And I'm going to move to a silver brush because I'm going to do this brick or rock work that's on here on the foundation. And yes, I'm going to start with, guess what? Yellow ochre. I swear, half of everything that ever gets painted in watercolors is yellow ochre. I'm not quite brave enough to not use yellow ochre, but boy does it seem like a lot of watercolor painting is yellow ochre. Everything is yellow ochre or some variant of, let's see, Aileen says, I think I missed. You said something about Viridian. Let's see. Dana is a good YouTube for trees is Tim Wilmot. Oh, yeah, Tim Wilmot's fantastic. Yeah, he's great. Fun stuff. I had Viridian. It was as hard as a rock, and it does stain a bit. Well, the phthalo blue or green stains a lot too. Yours doesn't have the hardness issue. It's just so unnatural and intense. I should do swatches of mixing it with other colors. Well, the Viridian. Let's see. Let me grab my. If you give me a second here, I'll grab my swatch card and I'll show you my Viridian. I have Viridian in two different areas. And I think I can grab those two cards real quick and we can take a little look at Viridian. Do a real quick Viridian study. Oh. All right, let's not say a study of Viridian. People are going to start tuning out if I say we're doing a study of Viridian because it's such an oddball color. It doesn't mix quite as well. All right, watch this. All right, I've got one here and one here, I believe. So I'm going to let this dry. These are my Holbein watercolors. And here's my Viridian right there for Holbein. That would be this one. It looks like a dark mess. These are nice paints. I like the Holbein paints. And here is my Viridian in a travel set of Winsor Newton paints. And look at this one. It's much lighter. This Viridian here is a rock. This is the one. Everything else has a hole dug in it everywhere around it, except for that one because I can't dig in it because it's as hard as the palette itself. It's crazy. And then, right, let's hold that against the phthalo. So you'll see the Viridian and the phthalo aren't that different. This is phthalo. Okay, so here's mine is phthalo green yellow shade. So it's a little bit warmer than this. But real phthalo and real Viridian are very close in color. They're not that much different. And I would use them almost exactly the same way. I would never ever. I'm going to say that, and I know I'm going to regret it at some point. But I would never try to paint it its own color, by itself, because it is such a weird color. I would only mix it. But it's funny that yours is not hard, or as hard as I would think, because my M grams that I dearly love, I will readily admit to that, are made with honey also. It's in their advertising. I don't think it's in the Mission Gold advertising that they use honey, but several manufacturers do, and that's not, it's not that big of a deal. That they use honey. But the nice thing that honey does is it keeps everything from hardening right up. But even so, I thought that the Viridian was hard. Anyways, what else did I have Viridian in? I had Viridian in another color, another something somewhere. God, I can't remember what the other set that I have it in is, and I'm not going to go through all of my sets just to try and find it. At least not while I'm painting in front of a whole group of people, anyways. I'm going to have to stop and run over. Give me 20 minutes. I'll find it for you. How funny would that be? But I see people are giving you some suggestions. I take the suggestions, get yourself a piece of paper, a scrap paper, whatever, and do some swatches. You'll figure it out real quickly, but that's one of those colors that you can't use by itself. It will kill you if you try to use it by itself. It's just such a goofball color, and if you let it, it will totally take over a painting, and you don't want that. All right, I'm just painting on. I should have done this the other way around. I should have put, I shouldn't take a shortcut. I should have put a second layer on the whole end of the barn and then come back and put the shadow on instead of doing what I just did, which is putting the shadow on and then coming back and trying to re-strengthen everything. That kind of was a backwards way to do this. Let's see. Well, it looks like you're getting some good suggestions there on how to tone that down. Like I said, take the suggestions and try them out on a sheet of paper. Just swatch them out. Even if you don't make a perfect swatch or something, it doesn't matter. What you're looking for is the value in there, the tone that you're going to get out, and how it mixes. So let's see. You want to paint but don't feel like a big project. So that's good. I'm glad. And Connie, thanks for coming here. Thanks for joining in. Thanks for helping out. Appreciate that. I don't think I said hello to you yet tonight. Glad to see you make it. I'm going to start a little bit of, well, that's phthalo blue. I don't want phthalo blue. I want an ultramarine blue. Ultramarine blue is this one. Ultramarine blue and a little bit of this Payne's gray. Just want a dark muted color. It's going to be our shadow color in these big doorways here. And I don't want to put it on super strong to start with. But I want to get it on here before I get too far, because it's going to, however it goes on, it's going to affect how I do the door, above the door here. I want to do some line work, so I want to make sure I've got it on here. And we'll be able to darken that up real nicely. And then I'm going to do this over here. And yes, I am stalling for painting these cows. But I am going to get to them. Let's see. I think this one here, back here. Let's see if I have this right. That is a brown cow. So it could be a Jersey. Could be a how now cow. How now brown cow. I think for my brown cow, I'm going to use burnt umber and maybe just a touch of this maroon perylene to give him a little bit of a red tint, but keep him on the brown side here. Let's see. I don't need too much detail on him. I just want to get a little color on this guy. He doesn't need to be standing out there with no color on him. So let's get a base coat of paint on him. I'm just slowly turning this around because I know I've done it plenty of times in the past, but at this point of the game, I don't want to put my hand in wet paint anywhere. That would be bad. And let's see, this cow's head is white, so I'm going to leave it white. Something like that. I know he's got an ear on this side. That ear's probably brown. There you go. I haven't even done anything. It already looks cow-ish. See, where are we at? There we go, cow-ish. And the one up in front here, I drew with all these lines on it. I know this was a Holstein cow. So I guess I've got to do some black on this one. Luckily, my what is this? This is my Winsor Newton black that I still have on the palette here. Is a warm black and not a cold black. In fact, I'm going to warm it up even further with a little bit of sepia in there. And I guess I just jump in and paint everything that's not white. Let's see how it goes. I don't know. I'm kind of curious. Whatever happens, it's going to be fine. Who was it a few weeks ago asked me if I did practice paintings before I came on to do this? I don't know, maybe I should. Some nights I start to paint and I go, man, I'm going to have to do this one over. Thankfully, I haven't had any real clunkers during a live show. That would be really bad. It would be kind of funny, being honest with you, but it wouldn't be useful to anybody. Other than maybe for getting a great laugh out of. Might be worth it just for that. And yes, this is I don't know, this is silver black brush. It's a size 6, if I read it right when I looked at it. Does anybody know why cows have these crazy colored patches on them like this? Why? I don't have any idea. But I did read today, and I don't know who did this experiment, that if you paint zebra stripes on your cow, that flies will stay away from them. So I don't know I don't know why that would be, but it is. And it's a funny little thing. I can't imagine who does that as a research study. Oh, I think that if we put stripes on a cow just like a zebra, that it would keep the flies away. Who said something up here? Dana, the Pepsi can painting was great. Thank you. That was fun to do. It really was. And I had so much fun with that last night I painted a Coke can to go along with it. So now in my office I have hanging up a Coke can next to a Pepsi can. Wait a minute. Whoa, 70, Aileen. There are 70 cattle breeds in America. Wow. I would have thought like 30 or so. I'm just going to paint the whole underbelly of this guy or this lady. One color here. 70 is a lot of different breeds of cow. I'm sure I could name 5, 6 maybe. And I grew up around cows. 70 is a lot. Let's see. We got black ears on here. This must come over like this somehow. This guy or this lady has some big cow ears. I was going to say he is the Alfred E. Newman of cows, but he is not a he is a she. So I'm pretty sure that's how it works. If he was a he would have horns. Fun stuff. Still waiting on a rusty painting. Yes, I am I'm trying to find a good rusty something to paint. I haven't forgotten about that. What did I find that was metal? I found something that was metal that I went, oh, that's kind of neat. But it wasn't rust. I'm trying to think what it is. And I'm not dodging the rusty painting. It's just that when I sit down to try to find an image to paint, one that I think I'm going to enjoy painting, or one that I think somebody would enjoy watching painting, and those two things are not always the same. I'll go through 70 or 80 different things to try and find one or two that I like, and I'll save it and just keep right on going and figuring while I'm in that mode, I'm going to keep going, and sometimes I'll see something and then I'll forget what it was, and so I have a little trouble sometimes remembering what it was I found. But an anchor would be cool on coast or chains. So some neat ones of old doors with rusty locks. That could be cool. An anchor. I like the anchor. We have some anchors in our town here, just kind of hung out, waiting for somebody to paint them, obviously. All right, there's my cow. That's all the detail I'm going to put on that guy. See, it's not a lot. It's just enough. We'll put on some shading underneath him, her, and we're going to be done with that one. I'm going to come back in to my windows here. And who mentioned Tim Wilmot? I'm not going to quite do this Tim Wilmot style. Where's my reference photo? I got a reference photo floating around here somewhere, but I don't want to. Tim puts all his windows in, or lots of his windows in, as just kind of a line or two here and there. I'm going to adapt a little bit of that here, in that I'm not going to put in all of the windows everywhere. I'm not going to put in everything about the window. If I leave a little spot in there, I'm going to call it okay. Not something I need to sweat too much, especially given the fact that these are way in the back here. They're probably actually too dark for those ones for what I want. And then as we move forward, maybe I get a little bit more. And these ones, I'm going to put a little bit of white around these ones anyways. So I'm not going to worry too much about it. Oh, Cynthia, if you want to you want to talk about having trouble with perspective, and somebody who is not worried in the least about it, watch Tim Wilmot. Not that his perspective is terrible. It's not, but it's not right. And he just kind of goes, okay, that's my style. And he's got it perfected. He's really good at what he does. Why am I doing a commercial for Tim Wilmot? Everything he does is flat. And he tries to do it in as few brush strokes as possible. It's really an amazing way to paint that I don't think too many people can do well. I think a lot of people can do it, but Tim does it effortlessly and in such a quick, easy way. But there's no, I don't know, 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 I don't there's no real, and I'm going to say that, and it's not exactly right, there's no real depth to what he paints, but in a way it is right because he does a lot of stuff that is very flat, very flat. You'll see it and it'll come in on an angle like this, and everything here is flat. Any detail is just a line, and then he'll have another building that comes in this way, and any detail is a line, but they're two flat buildings, and that's it. Excuse me. Let's see. Looks like your cow needs another ear. My cow needs another ear. Which one? This one? I have the little ear nub here. He's flicking a fly away with it. It's kind of in the back. You can't see it. And then I darkened up here. He's got an ear here. I think you can see. Oh, my earless cow. I hope it's there. All right, now this should be darker. I'm gonna put in dark at the top and on the one side of this, and then I'm gonna let this blend out real nicely across the way. There we go. That's what I want. And I'm going to kind of do the same thing on this one. And pull that down all the way down and blend that out. How am I doing on time? How long have I been on here now? I got to be getting on towards an hour, right? I try not to keep you guys too much over an hour. All right, a couple more details on this barn, and we're going to be pretty close to being done with this. I need a little shadow line underneath there, and I need a shadow line underneath here. And that's going to determine how much overhang that roof has. That's going to be good enough. Come on. Okay, that's fine. Oh, and I got one here too. I should probably got to do this. And that's going to help connect these shapes together. So now it looks like that roof actually comes out and overhangs there a little bit. Just a few quick cleanup things here that I want to do. I want to make this part of the roof a bit darker and blend it out. There we go. And I like that it's got a little bit of different color on that. I do need to, if you look at the silo, we do need to put on a little bit of color for some shadow here. This will help this out greatly. And I'm going to let that set for just a second. My painting is looking better. Thank you, Dana. So the paper that I'm using it's B paper, and it's 12 by 12. And I cut it myself. I got it in a giant roll. Oh, that's not the color I want. I got it in a giant roll off of, I don't know, Amazon or Dick Blick, something like that one of those, and it was 36 wide by 5 feet long, and my thought was that I would just take it and cut it down to size and everything would be great. Save a little money on, instead of buying these sheets just in little packs. And B paper doesn't really sell a whole lot of different sizes. Then I can cut it myself. So I took it to there we go. I like that. That makes it, now the whole thing looks like it's round. I think our doorways here came in pretty well. I'm going to actually pull a Tim Wilmot here. I'm going to get my rigger brush, my old rigger brush. I got a paper cutter out, which was wide enough, which in all honesty was a trouble I never really foresaw, was finding a paper cutter large enough. And I proceeded to cut the papers myself, and it turned out to be quite a hassle. It was brutal trying to manage a piece of paper that is 36 inches wide, that didn't want to be manipulated, and it wanted to stay curled. It was something else. Let me just put it that way. And that's the simplest thing I can say about it. It took me the better part of, I'll bet you, it took me 50 minutes to cut that paper like that. It was just nutty. I'm not doing this again. Yeah, I say that, but I might, just because of the fact that I like that I can cut these to any size I want. All right, a few lines, a few details on here. I'm going to really lightly, let me get a little bit of blue in here and a bit more water. I don't want to have this be quite so just bland, so I'm going to drop in a few lines here and there that are the ridges on that roof. I'm going to, when I'm done with this, we're going to be done with everything but the grass and and some other stuff. This was going to be so quick. It's so funny. I laugh at myself. I looked at this and I thought, this is a really simple painting. We can power this thing out in 40 minutes. This will be great. And now where are we at? An hour and 20 minutes, and I'm not even close. But I'm enjoying it. It's a journey. Enjoy the journey. I hope you guys are having fun too. Yeah, that got a little thick, maybe a little thicker than I needed on that. I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to futz with that. It's a little thicker than I wanted. I was going to do a little bit on the roof here. I think I'm going to leave that roof the way it is. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm going to start to put in some new grasses here. And I should say this, the color that I have on my palette that I thought I was going to use quite a bit, that I don't actually end up using, is this one right here. I don't know if you can see it. This one, which is in the M. Graham set. It is Azo Gold. Fun stuff in your, no, I just grabbed some of it. in your Mission Gold set, I believe that is green gold. But I've never found all that much use for it. I thought, oh, this is going to be great. It's going to be fantastic. I'll just use it, and I don't know what happened. It's not it's not doing what I wanted it to do, or it doesn't look. I'll tell you what the problem is. It's not that it's not a good color or anything. It's a really bright, funny green color, and I haven't found quite the time or place to use it. Give me a little bit of this alizarin crimson. Oh man, why did I do that? Alizarin crimson is one of those colors, you touch it and it goes everywhere. But I want to get a little bit of a warmer color in here. That's going to be too bright maybe. And honestly, when you see it later, you won't notice that there's any of this red in here, or you might notice that there's this red tint, but it's never quite enough that it takes away from what you're looking at. But it really does help to bring this foreground forward. Now, if we just use these greens further back, actually this is my number 2 quill brush here. I'm gonna drop down to my number 1 to do some more of this. And get a little bit of this paint off my brush. I do need to come back, well, in one thing. Oh, nobody caught it. One thing I do need to do is put a tail on that cow. Nobody caught that cow didn't even have a tail. But you can see just this meadow here has these few lines. It's almost as if you're painting, water or a watery area. Your Mission Gold paints don't have green gold. I thought that was one of the colors that it came with. Maybe it doesn't. Could be my mistake. I am going to mix just a touch of blue in here. As I work my way back here further, the little flecks of grass that I draw, the little, I don't know what you call them, ripples in the grass, these little grassy areas get smaller and smaller until you get way back to the barn back here. And I didn't look to see, we can't really see any shadow area on that barn. I'm okay with that, because I need to let this dry and I need to let that dry, and in the meantime I'm going to grab a big flat brush here. All right, this is a 3/4 flat, because, and I didn't say anything about it earlier, but I have these fence posts in here that I wanted to put in. I think they're in the original drawing, or the original reference photo. What I I want to get them in. And let's see. I'm going to grab a scrap sheet of paper here and just want to see if my color is going to be, that's close. Let's see, green. I have the 24 set. I think there's a 30 something set 2 of tubes. Well, and it is always possible, however improbable. No, it's entirely possible that I'm thinking of a different set also. So if you don't have the green gold in that set, it's possible that I'm thinking of a different set of paints that came with, and not the mission set. There we go. I've got a nice little fence line in here, and I don't know why it was important for me to put this fence in here. And I knew when I drew it, I didn't really have this fence going anywhere. Right? I'm going to kind of take it all the way over here. There we go. And it kind of goes all the way across. It's just another thing that I'm hoping is going to maybe set this back just a little bit. Now, before we get too far into this, I'm going to grab my rigger. This is still a little bit wet. I'm just going to pull up some of this in no particular way. Just pull it up. And now that cow all of a sudden is standing in a bunch of grass. And I'm not even going to do the whole thing all the way back there. I don't think I'm going to need it. I am, however, no, I'm not. No, I'm going to leave it. I'm going to, I was going to put a little bit of grass just by those, but you know what? That's far enough back. I don't want to futz with it. I do want to, I'm looking at it now, and you noticed it probably before I did. The white of this cow is a little too bright, right? We can already see from our barn that our light source is over here and coming down this way. Which ear is a nub? Why you guys are, let's see. Your cow looks like they're standing in water. You still can't see the ear. Oh, on the larger black cow. Oh yeah, it's here. Okay, I'll get to it. Oh man, you guys are killing me about the cow ear. Let's see, maybe we warm this up a little bit. If this guy's standing here and he's in the shadow over here, I don't need his whole body to be bright white, right? He's got to have some shadow to him a little bit. I thought I was going to warm this just a little bit of this ochre, warm that up. All right, I don't know if that makes that much of a difference, but it makes me feel better that this cow isn't just super, super bright white like this stark, whoa, thing sticking out here. I'll probably put a little bit of that dark on this guy's head back there. That might help out a little bit. And I only need to fix his ear. Okay, I'm going to fix his ear. Watch this. Get a bit of my black. I'm going to turn him around so I'm touching here. One cow ear coming up. One cow ear there, one cow ear there. You know what? I'm going to give him an eyeball. Oh, man, I just touched it. I'm going to give him an eye right there. And a bit of a nostrils. right? And I'm looking for my white pen, which I don't see, which is going to be a problem. All right, I've got a white pen here because I said I was going to go around some of the windows here. Let's see. Oh, front cow. Oh, okay, good. Now he looks better. Now he looks more like a cow. That's that's so funny to me. All right, so here's my window sills on here. You can see I pre-drew some lines underneath the sills. This isn't my good white pen. Oh, you know what? Here it is. I had it in my travel bag. Oh, better. Should come up. There it is, just a bit brighter. I had it in my travel bag when I did finally go out and do a bit of plein air painting. And what I learned from doing my plein air painting is if you don't do it regularly, it's tough. Actually, I learned two things I should say. Oh, here, let me do this. Let me get you guys in a little bit closer. I learned two things. One is always scout your location. So I thought I would go to one of the local community colleges and paint a bit of some of their buildings. They've got some really nice, I'm going to do it this way so I don't touch my cow's ear up here. They have some really nice buildings that I really wanted to paint. And I went there, and all of them that I wanted to paint were under construction. Every one of them had scaffolding around it. So that didn't work out. And the next thing I wanted to paint were some of the derelict army housing at the next to the college. There's an old army base, and they had some ROTC housing or something there at one point. And I thought it'd be nice to go and paint some of those old houses there. And I started driving down the road where they're at, and I got about halfway, and a number of people started driving past, and I didn't like it. I didn't want to get caught back there and have to answer a bunch of questions. And I chickened out. I totally chickened out. I didn't do it. So that was kind of a waste. I'm just noticing here that I've got this little bit here, a little bit of the eaves right here. That's in shadow. I'm just going to go and put that back in just like that. And if I've got that there, then I've also got one here that I need to do. And that should help bring a little depth there. The one thing I needed to do that I haven't done yet, because I can't do it because it's wet, is I was going to have these guys standing in a bit of shadow. I don't know. Then I'm going to get to that. And I wanted to look to see if I needed to do, I've got to raise you back up again, a second set of smaller trees in front of these. But I think I'm going to leave it like that. I'm not going to do more trees here. I'm going to leave it the way it is. just looking and doing a little reflection on this. Do I like my fence line here? I don't like it the way it is. I think I need to put in a few wires, and I can use a micron pen like this, but I think, there we go. And I think what's going to be better is if I use something like this. If I can get it open. Here we go. A watercolor pencil. It's going to give me a bit of a softer line. I don't want anything that's too dark. I don't want, I don't want it to be a in-your-face kind of a line. But I do think it needs a little bit of something just to connect it. Maybe I could do these a little bit darker. And then that comes off. I don't know. What do you think? Does that help? Does that help anybody? I think so many times I do stuff that I think is going to work out. I don't know whether it works out or not. I don't know. But I think it needed a little something there. I think you can see it. Maybe if I hadn't been so aggressive with my grass waves back there, I'd have been a little better off. But I think I'm not going to do too much more, because if I do more, then I'm going to be futzing with it. And I haven't been doing buildings before. Okay, you know what? I am going to do one more thing. The building looks too flat. I'm going to do the same thing. How do I open these? Honestly, how do I open these? I'm going to do the same thing that I did with that here. Right? I'm just going to do a few lines really light. Now the question is going to be whether you're going to be able to see many of these or not. And the second question is, does it really matter if you can see them or not? Or how much does it matter if you can see them? I'm putting them on pretty light. Right? I don't want to put anything, especially here on the sunny side, I don't want to put anything that's too dark. So that it takes over what I'm doing. But I do need a couple of lines on here, I think. It's got this old siding on here. Just some old plank siding here and there. Actually, I'm kind of glad I'm doing this. This is turning into a lot more lines up and down than I thought it was going to be. Lines this way, lines that way. I guess sometimes that's how it works out. I didn't think it was going to be nearly this much, but I'm kind of glad I'm doing this part. Let me see if I can hold that up so you can see. See, there are a few lines on there. Not a whole lot, just enough to set it off maybe, I think. And the other thing I just noticed is my cow. You guys were all fixated on my cow's ear. I put an eye on it, and now he's only got one eye. So I'm going to give him another eye over here. What kind of cow only has one eye? There, now he's got two eyes. I don't do cows all that well. I don't know that I've ever done a cow before. I'm going to call that good with my cows. I'm going to sign it right there. Before I do too much fiddling with it, cow's eyes are bigger, but his eyes should be bigger. Yeah, you were going to say, okay, so, okay, let's see. Where do I need to go back to? The fence looks better with lines. Thank you, Marilyn. I think it does. I think it adds to it. I could have even done a little darker. I was a little afraid to do this because these are so stark and so dark that it would be too much. Maybe I could have pushed a little bit more here, but as it is, fence lines, if they're just wire, they're really kind of inconspicuous. And I should have pushed the color, the darks in the building. Yeah, you might be right. Fun stuff. I could have really made this darker up here and blended it down that way even more. Might have helped out. Maybe I could go back and redo the doors here and make those even darker. Maybe it's a big, I don't know. I'm always torn because this is such a big area, right? It's going to let a lot of light in there. So this shouldn't be like maybe as dark as these windows, because the windows are a little area and you don't get as much light in there to shine and everything. Who just said that? Aileen, tail on the brown cow. You were exactly right. Let's get a tail on that guy. I would have totally forgotten about the tail on the brown cow. Let's get a color I can work with here. There. That's it. That little nub right there. There's a cow tail. I have it drawn in as a line, and that's it. There we go. I can't make his tail longer than his leg is down to the ground there. And this one I can claim that the tail's on the backside of her, so I don't have to do anything with that one. Okay, the pencil is helping the building's character. The pencil really did. I'm really surprised how much that it's very light on the buildings, the lines, but it really does help out. I'm very surprised about that. You guys are a feisty bunch tonight. That's funny. That's fine. Be as feisty as you want, because you know what? I wouldn't want it any other way. It makes it fun for me. Oh, I'm off frame here. Let me pull this back and so you can see what I'm doing here. Get this out of the way. Okay, I think that's where I don't know. I think that's where I'm going to stop. I say that's where I'm going to stop, and you know what? She's this leg of hers back here that I've made all black has got to be darker than this leg in front up here. We can't have her leg being that light. There we go. And I'm going to make this one a little darker down here. All right, now maybe I'm done. You know, that leg's all in shadow back here. You can't. Oh, okay. Now I think I'm done. I thank anybody who stuck around. Oh my God. I had a great time. Thank you so much. Be sure to check out down below in the notes. I hope they're in the notes down below. I've got Twitter. I've got Instagram. I've got my own webpage, Watercolors with Michael. Go there. Links to everything everywhere. Thank you guys so much for joining me this evening for painting my little barn scene. Next week, I don't know. Next week, I'll let you know. Like I said, I'm moving into fall things and then quickly into winter and holiday things. So those will be upcoming. I've got a video coming out probably Friday afternoon, maybe early Saturday morning, of a pot of plants that I did about a year ago. It's done in a loose style very quickly. It's not like all the other things I do, but I think it turned out pretty well. In fact, it's the pot of plants that you see in the intro to my normal videos. So you'll be able to see that. I've got, I'm going to have the Coke can coming out. I've got a whole bunch of other stuff coming out. I've kind of trying to rededicate myself to getting some more videos out there to everybody. So be looking forward to those in the coming days and weeks. Fun stuff. Go swatch your Viridian. Everybody else, have a great evening. Thanks so much for stopping by. Bye-bye.